TNIE, I am Chetna Belgire. As feared, Karnataka has reported India's first 2 cases of Omicron. Just when it looked like much of the world is ready to step out of the shadow of COVID-19 pandemic, the rise of the Omicron variant has kind of brought back the fears. The Omicron variant has been confirmed in nearly 30 countries and their number is expected to rise. To discuss how concerned we should be about this variant, what should be India's immediate strategy, is the Karnataka government prepared to handle this, and much more, we have with us renowned virologist Dr. V Ravi, nodal officer also of INSACOG. We welcome you, sir.
Thank you.
So first of all, what does the finding of Omicron mean to India?
Thank you, Chetna, for having me on your program. And what does Omicron mean? It only means that this new variant of concern, as WHO has classified this, has entered India, which puts emphasis on 2 things as far as I am concerned. See, whenever a new variant comes up anywhere in the world, the first reaction is fear and panic. And second reaction is people are ask questions. Is it going to cause a wave? Is it going to paralyze hospitals? Is it going to lead to lockdowns, international travel bans? Well, all these questions naturally will come up. This is human psychological reaction. I would like to shift the focus from all this because it's very difficult to prevent all this. We have to look at actionable items. Actionable items to me from the emergence of a new variant is a reminder that COVID is still around. Everybody has to follow COVID appropriate behavior. B, I think this is nature's way of reminding, if you have not taken 2 doses of vaccine, please take vaccine. We have done remarkably well with 1 dose coverage. In fact, we have done almost as per the expectations in most parts of the country as far as 1 dose goes. But we all know 2 doses are required to get protection. For those who have taken first dose and have for some reason not taken second dose, here is a chance. Please take the second dose. Now, the third lesson for all of us in the action item that needs to follow is that nobody is safe until everybody is safe. I think this is a reminder to, we are living in a global village. We have to see how much we can get vaccine access to countries that do not have access at present. And African continent is one huge continent. So I think I always look at what can we learn and what can we do. To me, these are the 3 takeaway lessons for Omicron spread over.
So I totally agree with you, and I think you've summarized what needs to be done immediately than looking at or fearing about the variant itself. There are some things which I think many, including me, will be interested in understanding the virus, the mutation itself. So we all know that virus mutates, and it was expected that it could mutate into a stronger one or a weaker one. We have seen alpha, delta, beta, a lot of variants coming in. So what makes Omicron different than Delta, and how concerned should we be about this variant's mutation? What kind of mutations does this variant have, Omicron have?
Thank you for that question. In what way is Omicron different? The answer to that question is, it is different from all other variants that have emerged until today for the simple reason it carries mutations from alpha, beta, gamma, and delta in one bag.
Okay.
That makes it unique. In fact, evolutionarily, here is a candidate for the first time in the last 9 months is challenging delta. If you consider it a race of variants, here is a sprinter, Usain Bolt, who who created world record at 100 and 200 meters. Now here is Usain Bolt among SARS-CoV variants who can run faster, spread faster than the others. Primarily because it took all the advantages of mutations in other variants. So that answers the question, how different is Omicron?
Okay.
What makes it get a special status, a variant of concern even before the virus is isolated? Why the WHO designated?
Correct.
For the simple reason, data, credible data available from within Africa showed that in the beginning of November, from being a single digit percentage, this particular variant jumped to close to 60 to 80% of all genomes in African sequencing lab. That is a very steep rise. Even Delta did not rise in such a sharp fashion. Mind you, Delta itself is considered 7 times more infections than its predecessors. Now, what is the number we can put on Omicron? I'm afraid it's too early to put that. The number can certainly be put once the virus is isolated. I expect virus will be isolated probably within the next week. Once we have the virus in our hand, then cell culture experiments comparing infectivity of variants will be certainly done. And then we will know how much more infectious it is. And secondly, the other way of determining increased infectivity is through determining R naught. R naught is a term most people are familiar. Basically, it's a measure, crude measure of how many people get infected from one person who has a particular variant. With 400, 500 Omicron cases established globally, it's difficult. You need larger numbers for R naught calculation. Keep all these aside, the speed with which it has spread within Africa and outside Africa should make us concerned.
Okay.
We need no need to panic, but concern, yes. And remember, the only way this can be mitigated is follow COVID appropriate behavior. Wear mask, maintain distance. Most important, and this is a lesson more for Karnataka, I would say, avoid crowding in closed spaces. The clusters that you have seen in the last 10, 15 days, where did they come from? Everybody blames the virus, everybody blames a particular state from where it came, somewhere it came, but everybody forgets that we all collectively crowded in a closed space and gave that opportunity for virus to jump from one person to another. And we did not follow COVID appropriate behavior. Whatever variant comes, thank God, still N95 or a surgical mask still protects. Immunization is the second most important thing. Yes, you can get infected, but if you're immunized, whatever data we have on these 300 patients, none of them have been very seriously, and thank God, touch wood, nobody has so far died of Omicron. So these are important things while being concerned we should look at.
Yeah, so that was my next
And about the
question.
mutations you asked, let me
Yes.
give a small rundown on the mutations. Just totally close to 50 to 52 mutations.
Okay.
30 to 28 to 32 are in the spike protein. And among these 28 to 32 mutations, the spike protein, 10 to 12 are in the region where the virus binds to the human cell, which we call in technical language receptor binding domain. In lay language, virus proteins are like keys, human cells are like a lock. Omicron is the best key that we have today. It can open locks very easily.
Okay.
Much more easily with one click. You don't need to go on, putting oil and turning an old lock with a key. That is Wuhan virus. Now we have a virus, just have to. In the current context, in a lighter vein, I should say it's a digital lock. Modern hotels, you just flash your key card and it opens. Well, Omicron is that.
Vaccination seems to be the only password now for the digital lock. So my next question is on the transmit. Now we know that it is highly transmissible, but what about the illness? Do we know the symptoms reported, at least in cases where in India, what was reported in the two cases, one was very mildly ill or absolutely asymptomatic kind of person. The other one did have body aches, fatigue, and fever. So are there any other symptoms which is special in terms of Omicron, or is it the same as Delta? Do you think it can outbeat Delta in terms of illness? What is the severity of the cases?
The honest answer, Chetna, is I do not know. Nobody knows because there is no published scientific report yet.
Okay.
If you go by WhatsApp University publications, which are in dozens, people have described whatever they think is an important symptom. Okay. So I really don't want to comment on it. Okay. Overall, it looks like the illness spectrum is like any other COVID caused by any other variant. Majority are mildly symptomatic, a few are mild or moderate. Severe ones, I am yet to see a report. Death, so far there is no report. So the spectrum looks to be more or less similar. And mind you, people who are getting infected, everybody asks me, I think vaccine is not working because, vaccinated people are getting infected. Let me answer the question. Vaccinated people are getting infected because they are the ones traveling. And if you have 2 doses of vaccine, you're allowed to travel. If you want true data, go to South Africa, where vaccination coverage is very low, or go to some part of Europe where there is vaccine hesitancy. Don't look at travelers. 90% of travelers today are double vaccinated, and some of the countries say don't come inside till you have a vaccine passport. So let all this not skew our common sense. Let's wait.
Yeah.
Thank God, so far nobody has died.
Okay. So South Africa could identify it because of its rapid genome sequencing, and the faster, every time a new variant is found, fingers are pointed at INSACOG and also said that we are not sequencing enough. First of all, I want to understand, is that true? Are we really not sequencing enough? Because the recent, there was a data which was given from the RTI applicant, and it showed that INSACOG did not actually sequence as many samples as it should have. I understand by now that there are limitations to INSACOG in terms of not just financial, there is also technical expertise which needs to be upped, but there is a lot of fingers pointed at saying that INSACOG is really not doing enough. And in Karnataka, the case which was found here, it was like by chance, where there were certain guidelines which was set up by the Genome Committee, thankfully, and it was raised there, and that is how we could actually find Omicron, if I have understood it right. So are we sequencing?
I have an entirely different take on this, and I'm used to it in 40 years of virology public health life. The first one to be blamed in an outbreak in this country, nobody takes blame. The first blame is on the virus. It mutates, it mutates, it mutates. The second blame is on virologists. So I'm absolutely fine with whatever you're saying. I'm not upset. Having said that, let me put certain facts in front of you and you decide whether it is correct or not. Alpha was declared as a variant of concern in late November or in the first 15 days of December. Government of India set up INSACOG on 23rd December. NIMHANS lab identified alpha variant first time in the country in Bangalore, which is an INSACOG lab, on 26th December. Is that not fast enough? INSACOG gave Delta to the world. It was not any other country that gave. Omicron, 2 days after Omicron was declared as a variant of concern, Karnataka picks it up. You are saying it's because of the guidelines by government of Karnataka. Good. But it is also because Karnataka immediately swung into action. INSACOG swung into action, immediately tested arriving international travelers from risk country and identified something. What more do we want? We want every sample to be sequenced. What for? Who has the resources? Give me that resources. I will donate vaccines to Africa. We don't need INSACOG if you donate vaccines to Africa. See, there is no limit to expectation from the community. I cannot restrain people from their expectations. Philosophically, expectations lead to upsets. The question one has to ask is INSACOG doing its job or not? And the resounding answer is yes. Has it missed a variant? No. Has it not swung into action? It has swung into action. You know how much it costs to do genomic sequencing? Everybody is talking about genomic sequencing. Genomic sequencing is not the answer. Wearing mask and taking vaccines is the answer. Variant comes or variant does not come. It's important to a certain extent that genomic sequencing goes on, that you pick up variants. We picked up, come on. 26 WHO announcers. We actually had the result of Omicron 2 nights back, but it was not released because people had to double, triple check whole sequences completely before it was released. And as a scientist, I would not really open my mouth unless I'm damn sure that what I'm saying is actually there in the specimen. Okay, so you cannot say that no. As soon as the result comes, no, I don't belong to that group. That as soon as I have a result, I will take a mic and bawl out saying that, look, I found something. No, would rather check everything. So I think this bashing of INSACOG, nobody can stop it. But we should understand, for whatever it is set up, it's doing its duty.